Hello, lovers.
Roses are red, violets are blue. We really want to share our conversation hearts with you.
Welcome to Likewise's second annual Week of Love with a new bookish episode every day. I'm Issa.
And I'm Sam, and we're so excited for you to join us and our author Galentine's while we share our love for romance books.
What can I say? We love love.
Welcome to day one of Week of Love. I hope you enjoyed our fun little kickoff episode where we walked through the schedule for the week, the lineup of guests we have, and what type of content we're bringing to you this week for our third week of love. But for today, like we mentioned in the kickoff, I will be doing a mini. Issa's will be on Thursday, and we had the really fun idea to do author interviews with each other. So we already, every year, we do co-host interviews, which is our chance to just like fully interview each other with new questions each year. Sometimes we bring in the same questions from the year prior to see if our answers have changed. And it just gives us time to kind of like highlight each of us as a co-host and really kind of like check in on goals, celebrate our accomplishments, and all those fun things. And we haven't really made them very author focused for ourselves. And so we thought it'd be fun if we almost did author interviews with each other with the same kind of questions we ask authors when they come on as guests. And I thought it was a really fun idea. So both Issa and I prepped questions for each other, and we're going to answer them to do like a mini author interview. So I think it'll be a fun way for both of us to really take a moment to talk about ourselves as writers and all those different kinds of things. So let's just get right into it. First, in our minis, we always talk about what we're drinking. I am drinking just water because we recorded two other episodes today and I had not really had much water. I was drinking coffee, and so trying to be good and catch up on my water intake now. So I've got water with me. So the first question is, published two times author. First, Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire, and then Me for You. I know we've discussed it before, but what's your favorite part of the process? What is something you wish you would have known going into writing a book? Is there anything you would have done differently with either of those, or will do differently with upcoming works? Be so honest, co-authoring or solo. Haha, just kidding. They're so different that I'm sure there are so many pros and cons to each. I'm cheating and making like five questions into one. That was so funny to like read back. Um, so yes, two books out. Let's talk about first my favorite part of the process. This is hard. I am a total pantser, and we've talked a little bit about how when we were co-authoring, we obviously had to be a little bit more of plantsers than pantsers, just to be organized and work as two people. I feel like favorite part of the process is probably so different between poetry and a novel because with the poetry, I think my favorite part of the process was ordering the poems. I pretty much finished the collection and I had the ones I wanted to go in it. I kind of decided on the amount and how much I wanted in the collection. And then, I had that concept where I wanted it to switch between ice and fire on each set of pages. I had to categorize each poem as whether I thought it made sense as an ice poem or a fire. Now, I did write a lot of them specifically to go in those categories, but I did have some that I felt pretty torn about which one to put it in. But I do think after you have the collection, um, there is such intentionality that you go through with the decision of ordering the poems, like putting them on each page. And I had a lot of fun with it when I was doing it because I did kind of put them in a spreadsheet, but then I formatted that book myself in InDesign and putting them in there, and I kind of was making small edits as I was formatting, as I would see things and read them back. So I had a very interesting formatting, editing process for that book. But I do really think that the process of picking the order, putting things side by side, seeing how they read together was probably my favorite part of the process for that book. I don't know if I'm gonna have that same experience with my next poetry collection, but I do still love like picking where things go and just kind of rearranging the poems based on how they read all together. I think my favorite part of the process of writing Me for You was honestly just like the co-authoring process of the second one of us finished a chapter. The other person would go in and read it and react. I thought that was really fun. Um, and I loved getting Issa's thoughts and reactions to what I would write. I also actually really liked edits. It kind of made me update and take some of what I wrote and make it its best version, so I really liked that. And I really liked getting to see the book grow and change and become a better book through that process. So I really liked that. And I formatted Me for You as well, and I really loved the formatting. So I do think formatting is one of my favorite parts, which obviously isn't the writing, so I can't make that my favorite part of the process because it's not really writing process, but I love formatting. So I think I learned that about myself through both of these books. Okay, next question was something I wish I would have known going into writing a book. I think I I think I knew that it doesn't have to be perfect the first time around, but I'm such a first draft girl. I know I said I loved edits, but I'm such a like first draft person where I want it to be perfect the first time. And I did know that it doesn't have to be perfect, but I think I have a really hard time writing like incomplete scenes. Like I know a lot of people will write like big chunks of dialogue and then like come back to fill in more detail and add dialogue tags after. And I'm like, I can't. I have to write the dialogue tags with the dialogue. Sometimes I'll add things in an edit if I didn't give it one, but like I feel like a lot of those things I kind of have to do it in the moment. Or that's just kind of how my brain likes it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now. Anything I would have done differently with either? Probably more outlining. Like I said, I'm a big pantser, and then Issa and I, what we did for Me For You was very plantsy. I would say probably more outlining, and I think we share that sentiment a lot, and we kind of as we head into the future of 214, we were a little more intentional with trying to outline before writing. And I do think it could have helped us to maybe have a little bit stronger outlining before writing for Me For You because we did also have a lot we wrote um, and then scrapped completely. So I think that could have helped us. Also, um, I really like having a strong first chapter written before other things. And it's okay if it ends up not being the first chapter and it moves, but like with Me For You, we were so solid in kind of how we pictured the later part of the book that we started writing not the beginning first. And we did struggle a lot with writing like a prologue or a first chapter because we had already finished a first, like the whole rest of the first act before diving into a chapter one. And I sometimes it's harder to make a strong chapter one when you're writing it post writing the rest of the first act. So I think I would always do that differently with my other novel I'm working on. I felt like I had a very strong first chapter, and that's kind of helped me move forward and write from that and kind of keep the start of the story as very core to the plot. Getting kind of key details in early. Because of Me For You, we had to try and like put the key details in after. So it was a little tough. Co-authoring or solo, that's so funny. There are definitely pros and cons to each. I do think, um, as much as I love writing by myself, I did find co-authoring to be very fun because there was always someone else reading it and helping it be better as it was being written and to bounce ideas off of and kind of stay on pace with the schedule because I have had a hard time like finishing on my own. And I think when you have a partner, you kind of have that extra accountability and motivation to finish things by a certain time. And so I do think that's a big pro to co-authoring. But I have so many book ideas that I do want to pursue solo, and especially with poetry, that's kind of like a big solo thing for me. But yeah, I love both, and they're more similar than they are different, in my opinion. And maybe that's just because my process is pretty similar. Um, but yeah, I do love both. I think I end up finishing more when we're co-writing, or you know, I just stay thinking about those projects rather than my own when there's, more than just me involved. So that's always maybe going to be a little stronger. Who's an author or writer I look up to, and what about them or their writing is inspiring? I feel like I kind of want to pick multiple here, like, because I think I have different inspiration between, like, novel writing and poetry. Some of my favorite poetry that I love is on Instagram. Their at is Poetic Fawnbug. Um, I just love their writing, and a lot of my poetry is very short, and I do love to read from people who can write a little bit longer form than I usually do. I just love seeing how they can really extend an idea or story, and there's a little bit more contrast within one poem of like different writing within it, which I really love. And honestly, I feel bad. It's not even long form. Like this is honestly still very short form. But it's in my head long form compared to what I usually write. And I just love their work. And their posts are very pleasing to read. Um, yeah, I just really love their style. It's really cool. And they're just one of my favorite to see on Instagram. There's so many. This is so tough. Some of my favorite writing I've ever read is from Kate Goldbeck. I just love the way she writes. And I think it's a little harder because I kind of, when I think about what I love about people's style, I like to think about authors I've read multiple works from. Um, with Kate Goldbeck, I've only read one, You Again. Adore that book. Uh, but her writing style was just fabulous. And there was so many different structures of writing in there and just details, references, um, how messy and real she was able to make these characters and really make me feel when I was reading was amazing. Um, so I really loved that. I think she's one. Obviously, Emily Henry's one who I've read a lot of books from, and I love all of them. And one thing I love about Emily Henry's writing is that I feel like she does a really good job of keeping things very simple. And it's such high quality. And I think a lot of times some people really, really love everything to be so detailed all the time. That's just like more detail, more detail, more detail. And sometimes you don't need more detail. You can let something be simple and it can be done beautifully. And I think that's something she does very well. And that's something I have a hard time doing. Another question is, are there any ideas floating around that you want to try and write? What can we expect from Sam Louis books? Um, yes, there always is so many ideas. Um, let's see, what should I spill? I did have some like new book ideas, but a lot of them were things that I wanted maybe to be incorporated into co-authoring. Um, just some random ideas. Um, I do have some things that I am somewhat working on that I guess would be this. It's kind of an office romance and but also kind of an adventure. That sounds so weird. It revolves around the world of like working for like a dating app company, which I think is kind of a fun premise for a rom-com. And I see it being very similar when I say like adventure as to Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. Ooh, that's another author I look up to, Christina Lauren, co-authors, iconic co-authors who work together so well to bring beautiful stories to life, and they're a big inspiration for when it comes to co-authoring. But I love Something Wilder. That's one of my favorite books. There is like a mission the characters go on in a way, and yeah, I've started writing it. I kind of want it to be a lot more calm, like a lot funnier than everything else I write. And because I have a tendency to write a little, not sad, but a little sad. And so I would really want it to be very calm and really kooky. So um what I've written so far is kind of fun. Um the girl, she kind of has this guy she used to be involved with who was like a former founder of the dating app company, and he leaves and he starts up a new one. He starts like a rival dating app company, and so this whole thing is very much like everybody there, like they want to take him down. I don't really know how to explain it, but um ultimately there's someone else that she would fall in love with in the process of trying to ruin this other guy's life. So it's kind of fun. I do have a title in mind for that book, but maybe I'll keep that to myself. But um even just like about like the playlist as I've been kind of like making it for writing inspiration's really fun. Like it's got Bad Blood with Kendrick Lamar, it's got Speed Drive from the Barbie movie. It's very like it's got a little bit of like a female rage vibe, but like fun and silly. So I would love to keep writing that book. I've only written like kind of a first chapter and some other things, but that's one I really like. I do have, I've been working on like a Freaky Friday book. I kind of shelved that one while I finish my more holiday novel, my ballet one. But I do want to get back to that one and finish it. And that one's supposed to be a duology. And the second book for that is supposed to be like a Groundhog's Day trope. So I think it would be fun, but I'm also like, I don't know. So we'll see if I get back to that. Yeah, other than that, those are my like core ideas for novels that I have on my shelf right now. I guess as far as what can we expect from the Sam Louise books, I am planning on trying to finish my second poetry collection to release it this spring slash summer. Um, in April it'll be 2 years since I published Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire, and I would love to have another collection out there. I've been slowly pulling it together and writing for it, and I occasionally have been having some days where I have a lot of inspiration and I'm able to like write a lot. I do want this one to be considerably longer than Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire. Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire is around like 120 pages maybe, and I really, really want this one to be closer to 200. I really want a full 200 for this one to make it kind of bulky. Um, it's a very different concept from Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire. I've always had this like uh very like 70s Route 66 road trip vintage diner. Like I'm just listing off random things for my mood board, but like I've had like that deserty highway vibe is stuck in my head for a lot of this. I wanted to tell more of a story than Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire did. Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire was very much like internal, my inside brain, um, that kind of thing. And this one, I want to really take it through a story, which I think could be really fun. Um, I have gone back and forth between what I want to call it. I originally had the idea that, because I kind of have it split up in like a part one and a part two instead of like pairs of poems, um, since it is more of a story. And I originally thought it'd be cool if it was like a book where like you have to flip it around for the like other half. So then like I kind of similarly to Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire had almost like a two-word title, and it could be printed like flip-flopped on the front and the back. Not sure if I'll still do that just for logistics of printing, but that was an idea I had. I'm not sure if that will come to life. And I've also completely changed the title and thought of it as like one concept as well, instead of trying to split it into two things. So I'm a little torn. I'm still torn between that, but yeah, I don't know. I think I might stick with the two-word thing to make it more similar to Eyes of Ice, Heart of Fire and kind of really fit my author brand well. So I think I'm gonna do that. I might as well spill. Well, I was calling it Project Songbird because I wanted Songbird for the second half. Um, and now it is Runaway Songbird, and I still love that. So I think that's what it's gonna be. But I did have a brief moment where I started changing it to a name that came from a poem I wrote for it that I really love. It stands out to me as such a good, like, boom, like, title poem. Could be on, like, the cover page of the book instead of, like, just in the book. And that poem is called Hell is a Highway. And so I also really love that, but I'm not sure it would be the perfect title to like encapsulate the whole book and the whole project as good as Runaway Songbird is, where that is more definitive of like the two halves. Part one, part two. Part one, Runaway, part two, Songbird. Is better for the story. So I think it is going to be Runaway Songbird. And I do really want to finish it. I'm not super far from finishing it. So I do want that to be published this spring or summer. All right, next question. As an author and podcaster, how do you manage your time between these two passions among all the other things you have going on? Yeah, I get this question a lot. um, because I do have my full-time job in influencer marketing and fashion. Then I do teach dance multiple days a week. And then obviously the podcast and author stuff. Honestly, I do not manage my time very effectively between these. And I think that's shown with obviously both the podcast went on a big hiatus last year, and my writing also slowed down. Like both things slowed down. And they're kind of just now picking back up. And so yeah, I think I still need to learn how to better manage my time. But it really is it's always just been like a shift of whatever I'm doing at that moment. I've just kind of made the priority and spent more time on than everything else. So I need to do a better job of giving things equal attention during each season instead of like putting things on the back burner to focus on the more important one. Because ultimately that's not going to be helpful and get either passion anywhere. So working on that. I don't know. I think I just see it as like the one thing I'm really sure of. And other things I'm not as sure of. And so when there's one thing you're really sure of, you shouldn't abandon it. And you should keep pouring into it, even when you're not getting results. That's kind of the mindset I'm in, I think. I feel like I didn't really answer the question, but that's the best as I got for now. All right, and the last question. Issa said, I make it about me and us a lot, but what are some of your personal author or podcaster or creative goals this year? Well, I guess I already talked about one, is to publish my second poetry collection. I also need to finish my novel that I had originally wanted to release this last fall. I still want to release it this upcoming fall. Yeah, I feel like I just really want to grow. I want to continue growing on social. We had a really good year of growth back in 2024, and I would love to have another year like that. We've been sitting really close to 1K on Instagram for a while, so it'd be nice to just stay consistent and really keep finding our core audience for the podcast. I think we could really make that happen this year. I would really love to do another event of some kind in person, whether that's a like local book event or we go to a convention or something. I think that'd be so fun. And then I really just want to keep like honing in on my creative talents. Obviously, I want to be a stronger writer. I want to I think I want to post on Substack more. That's been kind of a goal. I don't want to add like something else that's going to distract me from finishing my books, but I have a lot of just kind of things that pop in my head, and I think it could be a nice outlet. But yeah, big goal is I want to get my books published, and I'm gonna do it. One thing I did think about, there is openings for like submissions for like small poetry publishing houses, and I would love to submit for that. There is one that has submissions open till May, and I would love to do that, but I think I don't want to submit my second poetry collection that I am aiming to self-publish this spring or summer. I think I'd rather still self-publish that and then maybe submit a different project. But the thing is, I don't have a different poetry project really. Um, so I'd have to come up with one. But I think that could be really fun to try out just to open myself up to different experiences and routes of publishing because maybe it could be good for me. But I guess that's everything. That brings the questions to a close. I hope I spilled a good enough amount of info to you. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you're enjoying Week of Love already. And I can't wait for you to listen to tomorrow's episode with Sydney Applegate. I could take some advice from her and manage my time how she does because she's way better than me at managing her time between her passions. And if you want to hear more about that, make sure you listen to our episode with her tomorrow. And if you want to hear what questions I ask Issa about author things, listen to her mini on Thursday. All of our socials, everything is linked in the episode description. And I just hope you have a really great rest of your day. Bye.